Hello, it's me again. It's Victoria Grace Walden, Vicky, your module convener for Analysing Media, Film and Music. We are going back to our assessment information pod today. You will probably already be here if you're watching this video. And we're going to talk about the final assignment. So hopefully you might be watching this video at the beginning of the term just to get a gist of what's going on. But you should hopefully be watching this now in about week 8 or 9. And have done that poster presentation, be relaxed after that, and be thinking about that end of term assignment. Easter holidays will be coming up. You'll have time to start preparing your essay plan. And to do that, you'll want to know what the essay is about, right? So your end of term essay is a 2,000 word essay. This is the kind of culmination of all your knowledge in the 2 terms of your foundation year here at Sussex. And as with the midterm, similar set of resources prepared for you on Canvas. What is the essay about? What do you have to write about? 2,000 words seems like a lot. It's not when we kind of drill down to the specifics. There are 5 questions for you to pick from. They're listed here. What is the essay about? And they are a mix here of media, film, music questions. They all relate to the last 6 weeks of teaching content. So the digital section and the identity section of the module. So the questions we have are, to what extent might we consider so-called new media to actually be new? And in this, we're asking you to compare one pre-digital and one digital media example in your response. Some good ones that have been done in the past is the book or the novel and the Kindle. So 2 different kinds of reading devices. Old school television news, and you've got to kind of think about pre-digital if you're going to do this example, because most of our television news now is digital, and the way digital media is spread, as digital news rather, is spread on social media. I had a really interesting piece a few years ago about the watch, the analog watch, and historical ways of telling the time. So sundials, etc., through to our Fitbits and Garmins. These are not just watches now; they are measuring all of our biometrics. So there's lots of different examples. You might think of television versus Netflix, for example, but your examples should be kind of linked. You can see that there, I hope. Not just like a watch, sundial versus Netflix, because they don't really have any comparative points to be made. The second question then is, how is your sense of self performed online? And explore this question through an engagement with theories of identity, performativity, and at least 3 examples of how you specifically present yourself online. Sometimes students have found this one more difficult because they're not sure of the different ways they present themselves online. I'm going to guess we don't have that same problem during the pandemic. How do you present yourself in Zoom? Do you turn your camera on and off or not? That's a great example of presenting the self or not presenting the self. Do you have a Facebook account or Snapchat or Telegram or Twitter? Anything else? There's so many social media platforms now. What's your avatar look like? What name do you use? These are all really important questions here. LinkedIn, very different to how you might present yourself on Instagram, for example. Then the next question is with reference to gravity. How do contemporary digital films attempt to change the viewer's relationship with reality? So this is a question thinking about the construction of realism. So we're not talking about the real world, and that in itself is quite a loose idea in philosophy. We're thinking about issues around spectacle and trying to represent a world that looks more real or has verisimilitude to the world that it's in. So Gravity is a film about space. It's a verisimilitude. It looks like space, right? But in terms of real, a lot of it is CGI'd, but the CGI is used to try to replicate a sense of something that seems real, creates a sense of realism. There's other cases of CGI being used to create fantasy worlds that are completely far away from anything we might recognize. To what extent is Gravity about spectacle or about trying to replicate realism or create realism? With reference to stories we tell, how does film explore and perform the construction of identity? So this is about how films play a role in constructing identities. You'll notice the readings from that week are about the cinema of me/we. Are kind of first-person documentaries just about the person making them, or are they about the kind of wider society and how that society inflects on who we are as well? And then the final question, with reference to any genre of music, how can music construct identities amongst either performers or fans? So you can take this question on one of two routes. I wouldn't do both. We're asking for one or the other. The or is really important there. So you're thinking about genre and identity. This could be about fandom. And it could be about not just the music itself. It could be about how fans use particular language or images, or clothing to represent themselves as fans of hip hop, for example, opposed to fans of metal. And that could also be about a performer and their kind of brand identity, their persona as a performer. How do they create a sense of a particular person that's deeply embedded in the music? In either of these questions, you could analyze the music itself, the kind of musical instruments that are being used, the language, the lyrics, etc., the themes, or you could do an analysis of how they present themselves within the music industry as such. So through social media, through branding on CD cases, etc., Spotify accounts, blah blah blah. You'll submit this essay through Turnitin, which is, you can use the plagiarism checker there to check if you copied any stuff by accident and rephrase it. Really worth doing. And I've then put here how to structure your essay. Please use this. It's in the checklist as well. The essays that do well have this structure. Okay, so you need a very clear introduction, a thesis statement. This is what I'm arguing in this essay. Hook us in. We're reading now 120 of these essays in about 5 days. Bring us in that first sentence. Tell us why your essay is going to be amazing and what you're going to argue and why we're going to listen. Then introduce the 3 key points. So you're telling us, this is what I'm going to say. I've told you my overarching argument, and now this is how I'm going to argue it. This is the case study I'm going to tell. I feel really convinced by those kind of essays, and I really want to read more. That kind of structure is brilliant. Then you need to kind of introduce us to some of the academic debates that have been going on this topic. And then your original contribution is your analysis. I would aim for 3 points. With the, to what extent is new media new essay, each point will be a comparative point between your 2 case studies, and all the others were asking kind of 3 separate points about your case study. Or with the identities online, it's a point about each different identity online that you're talking about. Refer back to the relevant academic literature and a close analysis of a specific thing in your case study. And then a conclusion, and then your bibliography. As usual, you can ask questions on here. You can come and ask questions on Fridays at the live chat sessions as well. Check the marking criteria here. The learning objective is apply relevant critical theoretical ideas credibly to media, film and music texts. Once you've written, every time we write a draft, it's always rubbish. Everything I write is rubbish. And then I go back and edit it. Writing is always rubbish. We're just getting ideas on a page. It's good. You should be rubbish. Embrace the rubbishness of your first drafts. And then after that, edit them. The editing is where the genius emerges. So write stuff. I always just write quickly and just let that kind of flow of consciousness come out on the page. And then spend lots and lots of time editing it, trying to put your work into the structure that's suggested there, checking you've got the academic references in the right place, checking that have you really, really said what that academic piece of writing said. Go back and check it. Does your analysis really, really say what you've just said it does in the statement that you used to introduce it? Really fine checking that. Spend half a day just checking that the logic between sentences actually flows. And that's the kind of way that we make work really refined and get high grades. Everyone is rubbish when they write straight off. Unless if you're not, then I am so jealous. We get the words out and then we refine the writing. It is art. It is a form of media production. We edit things carefully when we edit films. We need to do the same when we do essays. So that is my number one big tip with your essay writing. Do the writing quickly, edit carefully, and constantly be refined in how you're checking your editing. And edit many, many times. I probably edit an article 15 to 20 times before I submit it for publication. Otherwise, all my published work would be awful. The checklist is here. Use that in your editing process. And as usual, all the kind of general stuff about referencing academic integrity is at the bottom there. And as I said, and I'll just sign off with this, if you want to come and chat, you have questions about the assignment, live module chat 2:30 to 4:30 every Friday. I look forward to seeing some of you there. Do an essay plan and bring it to tutorials as well in week 11. Forgot to mention this. I just see what it is. So the essay plan template is there. Fill that in. Bring it to your online tutorial. I'd open it as early as possible so you get a sense of what you need to be planning for your essay plan. Book the tutorial here. There's also a link in week 11 and week 10 to do that. And remember to use the wider reading list. There's loads of extra recommended reading to help you on the way of your essays there. It's great to bring in your own research as well, specifically around the key texts, but there's loads of reading that we've already provided for you. Use that. You won't get marked down for just using the stuff that we've suggested. It is specific to the tasks. But do fill in the essay plan, do bring tutorials. Where students sometimes go wrong is they've kind of gone off piste with the essay. They haven't quite understood the essay question and they just go off and write the essay. If you bring me the essay plan to the one-to-one tutorial, I'll notice that there and then and say, whoa, stop, don't carry on with this. You've misunderstood it. You got to go there, got to go here, and it will save your essay. So please, please, please come to the tutorials. That's all from me. Look forward to reading the essays and seeing you at the tutorials. Goodbye.